Folks. We are on to episode 12 today of Unleashing Your Infinite Possibilities podcast. And before we dive into today's important topic, I would invite you to remember that the purpose of this podcast is to invite you to get curious about yourself, your life, and the world that you live in. Start questioning the status quo. Start questioning your comfort zone. Start questioning where your current story loop has taken you. And this is what we're diving into today. And I do not want to miss a beat. So I've written a few key pointers down that I really want to go through with you today, because today's topic is talking about why compromising yourself. Compromising yourself is one of the biggest mistakes that you can make. And why is that so? When we think about stepping into your greatness, when we think about really owning who you are, your passions, what you perceive as past events, or what you perceive as maybe weaknesses or failings or things that other people have attached to you and you've bought into. When you compromise being yourself, when you allow others' opinions of you to dictate how you see yourself, to dictate how you show up, to dictate the actions or the inactions that you choose to take, for fear of criticism, for fear of judgment. And we all do it. I've done it throughout my life. I still pause and question my own actions and ask myself, am I doing this from a feeling within my heart, from a feeling within my gut of love of me, of gratitude, or am I doing it from ego-based fear of judgment, of criticism, of bullshit? Because for me, this is what I believe it comes down to. Compromising yourself can come in so many forms. And I talk about this in the cycle of what it looks like when you don't step into your greatness, and that massive contrast and power that happens when you do allow yourself to step into your greatness. Do you see the thread of everything that I'm getting you to get curious about, invite you to think about, invite you to explore and write down and view through your own lens of life? It's not about listening to other people and saying, okay, they're telling me this is the way, they're telling me this is the way. Everybody can recommend things. But it's only when you choose to get curious for yourself and then really pay attention, honestly, truthfully, take time and pay attention to whatever question you're being asked or you're being called to ask yourself, whatever answer you're being called to truthfully feel in there. We compromise all the time in the sense of not questioning why we're doing things, just taking somebody else's word for granted that that's the right thing, ignoring that feeling in the pit of your stomach, or that lull, or that split second where you are about to challenge an idea or a thought or what somebody has said, and then oh, who am I to do that? That little voice comes in and it's, oh, you can't question that. Just go with it. Just keep the peace. Just keep your mouth shut. Just say yes when you really want to say no. Just say no when you really want to say yes. Or maybe you're feeling and you're standing in your truth and you're having the courage to say, do you know what? Enough's enough. I actually really want to do a specific thing, or I want to explore something more. And then you allow the ego to come in and hijacks you and self-sabotages. It literally jumps on your back like another person, this heavy weight, and it's literally lassoing you there, holding you down, going, you're not going anywhere. For a split second, you're nearly there, you're nearly out, your foot's nearly out the door, and you're like, I can nearly breathe, but And I laugh at this because when you allow yourself to bring humor into this, to this vibration, and be like, seriously, when you actually take out the compromises that you make, when you set them in front of you, just hold the mirror up, go and look at your beautiful self in the mirror without judgment, and ask yourself, what are you compromising about how you really feel? What are you compromising in your everyday word? In your relationship with yourself, what are you compromising? Because if your greatest asset is your ability to be yourself, but you're always compromising who you think you are or who you're not sure of who you are, or you're allowing other people's opinions and judgments and shames and past experiences of you to dictate who you are, then can you see how this circuit, the cycle, the process of manifestation keeps coming back round and keeps bringing you round in that loop of Groundhog Day? Because you are consistently compromising yourself at your core. That's in your choices. That's in what you believe about yourself. That's in what you believe about your capacity and your capabilities. It's in what you believe about the current story, the current loop, the current narrative, the current pictures that you have locked away in this lockbox of your mind that's either sucking the life out of you and compromising who you are, or are you allowing it to support you and say, actually, that isn't really who I am. That past experience was a misjudgment, and it's okay. It's no longer needs to be judged. What if you brought everything to the table and just set it down right now and just says, okay, this is my current results. This is my current baseline. I'm looking at myself in the mirror. And if Donna's invite me to be curious and say, if my biggest mistake or why my biggest mistake is compromising myself, then do I dare to think about this? Do I dare to listen and pay attention? Do I dare to grab a pen and a bit of paper right now in this moment and say, okay, so what have I been compromising? What have I been settling for? What have I been doing as maybe second best? What have I been allowing myself to be exposed to express, to internalize? And what I mean by that is, do you stay in conversations where it's negativity or people are judging everybody else? Or do you remove yourself? Or do you not, because you're afraid of judgment, of what other people might say? Does it make you feel not good or not nice? How would it feel if the shoe was in the other foot? Do you not speak up when you feel called to speak up? Do you just nod and agree with people even though it's not your truth? Even though the feeling inside is, actually, I don't agree with that view. Are you too afraid to rock the boat by sharing your own opinions, by being vocal, by being truthful? Because maybe you're perceived to be a certain way all your life and you exactly don't want to do that, rock the boat. There are so many ideas and concepts around this, and it's about allowing yourself to express. Compromising might be an easy path to a quick resolution, a quick, that's grand. If I just say yes, then there's no fuss, there's no faff. I'll just get on with it, even though I really want to say no. I'll just suck it up at the detriment of me. I'll just feel shitty or feel uncomfortable just to please other people, just to keep the surface of everything okay. But what happens when you continue to do those small percentages of putting up with things all the time? For multiple experiences in my life doing this, it ended up in eruptions because there was nowhere more space in my container, in my physical body, to actually stuff anything else down. So, like a volcano, it had to come up and erupt. And then you go through a whole other scenario of compromises and shame and guilt and fear and what are people going to say? Compromising. Is it really worth it? Whether you perceive something to be small or minor or not a big deal, or you believe it's a big compromise, like staying in a job that's really destroying you, that's a really toxic environment because you need to pay a mortgage, but your story loop is the fear of not getting anything better or of moving out of that toxicity, or you feel that that's all you know, or that's where your value or worth is attached. When we compromise, it makes us sick because compromising who you are is ignoring your internal truth. It's ignoring that compass within you, that all knowing that is you. It is that feeling, that connection of knowingness. And you might not even be able to express in words what that is. But when you feel that feeling, it is so real, so strong, so powerful that you cannot deny it. It's about having the courage to step into that, to move away from the false evidence appearing real of always compromising, of diluting yourself to fit into a box, to fit in and gain approval, to fit in to what society or family or friendship circles dictate. Like, what is the impact of living your life out of alignment with your core values? So many of us do this on a regular basis and we're not even aware. So maybe you're listening to today's podcast and going, oh, I didn't even realize that. But what if I was curious and just started asking the questions, like, what areas in my life am I compromising? Is there any? That's the thought. It's inviting in the question, because when you ask the question, you will always have your answer. It always comes speaking to you. Everything is already here, it's already created. And usually, when you look at the things that you're compromising, the things that you've been ignoring, the things that you haven't been paying attention to, or settling for, this is the dictation and the vibration of your value, of your worth, of your ideas. This is where, when you understand the full manifestation process, which doesn't begin with your current results, which is your groundhog day loop, why we keep going in the same circle, why we keep getting the same results, why we keep going in the same shame, blame, name, blah, all the time. When you understand that beginning from a new container, new elevated idea, thinking from elevated results, which means becoming aware of what you're possibly compromising in your life at the moment, because it means that that needs to be elevated, that you have the choice, and it's now come to your attention to say, oh, okay, I didn't realize that I was compromising there. I didn't realize that I was sacrificing this, or I considered this not to be a big deal, but actually I didn't realize that when I'm in the process of my idea about me and my value and worth, and that contributes to how I feel, and my feelings are attached to the manifesting action or any old action I take, that when I understand the circle and the power of my beliefs, then if I'm attached to something and I'm compromising on incremental small things, they all build up. They all build up and latch onto the beliefs about me. So when I'm trying to think from a new idea, from a manifesting process of creating elevated things in my life, elevated experiences for expansion and growth, it doesn't happen because the subconscious and the ego keeps us pulled back. It springboards us back into this area of beliefs, of compromising, of value, of worth. But when you look at the things you're compromising on and ask yourself why, from a neutral, non-judgmental point of view, you can breathe a bit easier, because it's like, oh, okay, thank you for that insight to yourself. Boom. Oh my God, I didn't realize that. A lot of times we don't realize the autopilot program that's playing in the background of our human. And we're stepping onto our human every day instead of being in our spirit, in the embodiment of the infinite possibilities that we really are. Because we're in the human groundhog day of current results, to current ideas, to current beliefs, to current action, to current behaviors and ideas and identity about ourselves, to go back to the current results. So you can see how the compromising continues to have a full-on knock-on effect all the time. Let me know your thoughts on this. Have a think. Will you consider something to be a small compromise or a big compromise? Ask yourself why. Because there is no big, there is no small. It's asking yourself a different question. How does that make me feel? What is the internal feeling that I express from having that compromise? When you connect to that, you will feel that feeling and experience that experience. And then it's identifying, okay, so where do I want to take this? How do I want to elevate this? Where else can that be mirrored or reflected in my life? This is why compromising yourself is the biggest mistake that you can make, because it has an impact and knock-on effect on absolutely every area of your life. There's no getting away from it, because you are the creator of your life. You are the star. And it is whatever goes on internally that will always dictate your external results. So think about compromises, go from neutral, praise yourself, give yourself love and gratitude for listening to this, for writing stuff down, for taking the time to answer the questions. Because remember, your greatest asset is in your ability to be yourself. And you have the power to choose who you become and embody every single day that you're on this earth. My name is Donna Martin. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you in the next episode. Thank you.